Welcome back. We'll be doing a super chat shortly. We do have the information directly above, and yes, in any of the blog posts, generally speaking, you can find the link. We will put you in the waiting room and we'll be with you very shortly. Okay, we are getting the super chat list done. I'll be with you in 5. Okay, we're going to get into it. We are going to say a big hello. How are we all doing? I do believe we have had Uranus move. I'll double check. This weekend, I was like, oh, hell no. Definitely could feel the energy. We do have solar flares coming, and a lot of you can be up and down with your frequency and how you're feeling. Some of you might feel a bit off. Others of you could feel that it's an overload of information, and there could be some anxiety. At the moment, we hold the moon in Virgo, which is it's very detail orientated, and it is to do with the South Node at the moment. So, you know, the subjects in your home can be to do with your wellness, homesick. There can be this, you really, if you can let go of control, but look at what you can do. And, you know, sometimes it might be that you're just needing to nurture yourself at the moment and really get into that. But it can be very analytical in a sense. Now, let's take a look at the exact date the ingress happened so we can be prepared. 26 as of today. So, yes. And, you know, when it does, what we have to understand, I'll chuck your chat up on this screen. We do need to understand that, you know, it is going to be an overload of information. And what I always guide people to do when the ingress of a planet comes is we officially have left the Taurus energy. And that can be both scary. Like some people are going, yes, we can't wait. Other people can have that concern. And one of the things I was actually looking at is we won't have any Venus in the sky. And that to me was almost like this reset. Our values were changing, how we were looking at values were changing. And especially, you know, theoretically, Uranus was like rags to riches, riches to rags, changes with the Taurian energy of where it fell in your chart. So it could have caused a lot of instabilities. And, you know, the shadow sign of Taurus is Scorpio. So Scorpios and Taurus, you guys are going through this big shift. You more than likely also will need to give this a couple of days. Gemini and Sagittarius also, especially because it's ingressed into your first and your seventh house. And again, if we do look at our charts and we go on to astrosec.com and you can plug your chart in, you're directly going to see where that lands for you at an individual level. And this is going to be a signature where we are going to directly feel this energy more intensely over the coming years. But definitely this has been the ingress we had been waiting for. Now, we do see some signs astrologically, some of those signature points, but what does Gemini directly relate to at a very basic level? It's the way we communicate. It's how we communicate. It's technology. It's schools. It's our shopping centres. It's cars and innovation. It's how we trade, so to speak. Language barriers. You know, the chameleon, definitely, because we do have Saturn and Neptune and Aries. We are guided at the moment, in my opinion, to, you know, where naturally you would look at that placement and say, heck, that's really going to burden me. It might be that we're actually becoming more logical with our decision making. So where we might have been more in the Aries energy and just throwing caution to the wind, we could find ourselves being more structured and realistic about things. But also the guidance is from the Gemini position is you can make these changes and they can come quite quickly. So whatever changes are happening in your life, especially if they're coming at left field, sometimes it's going to feel as though, you know, you're dealing with one thing and then you're going over to one. And so, you know, in the deeper context of things, I think it's important to have a goal in mind. The other thing is, you know, with the whole notion, and you've probably fallen on channels and they've said the authentic self is going to be coming through. When we do look at the authentic self, how we show up at work is different. How we show up in a meeting is different. How we show up with our family is different. So we have to have these different facets of ourselves. But this requirement is going to be that we kind of pull that vibration into one, which is going to be pretty difficult. So in choosing to do things, for instance, it might be that you're having to multitask. It may be that you feel that your energy is quite dispersed at the moment. So 1 minute you're dealing with one thing and then the next. So very similar to what the South Node in Virgo taught us, it is about streamlining your energy and pouring energy into particular areas, but also to do with your goal setting. What I would recommend is keep your eye on the bigger picture. You may come up with some very innovative ideas at the moment, which can be fantastic, and trying to look outside the box. I did notice something happening in social media here in Australia, and it was connected to politics, and it was a YouTuber who made a comment to do with something, and they ended up in Parliament. So again, you know, we can look at the communication as a positive or a negative, because you never tend to get one thing um, on the scale of being negative or positive. It's got both. So on the beneficial level, it could be problem solving in groups. It might be looking outside the box, doing our research. My mouth is in Scorpio at the moment in communication. Well, yeah, the funny thing is, anyone who has the Scorpio placement, this whole year is going to change you. So the Scorpio Taurus axis, already we look at the Venus retrograde, you know, some people do actually cover the energy of Juno. Juno, I have been looking at for many years, very similar to a Venus retrograde. We are going to get the back end of that towards the end of May. So we'll start getting the shadow energy of that going retrograde. And it is going to be moving between two signs, which is Aquarius and Capricorn. And so Venus, yet again, is having her rebirth, but she's then going underground again to resurface some things. And I do believe a lot of us are going to be going back to some old situations and reviewing them, and maybe even resurrecting them out of the ground to bring and pull some real genuine value. But there can be this building that we're directly doing at the moment. Yeah, it's, look, I've got Scorpio on my chart, and you know, a lot of clients that I'm actually coaching at the moment, you know, that position, those that are older with that placement will understand the natural cycle of Scorpio, which is very Pluto in nature. You will really need to pay attention to Juno retrograde, because it's still going to be that Plutonian energy. The Mars transits in April would have been extremely heavy for you guys with those placements, so Aries and Scorpio. Aquarius as well, because currently we have that frequency there, and wherever that falls in your chart. So we'll have Juno going retrograde in June 6, I believe. We'll also later in the year have a Venus retrograde, and you know, Venus is going to bring us some juice soon, so we just need to hold a little bit longer, especially as we have the ingress into Gemini, I believe. Let me take a look. Okay, so Uranus moves into Gemini, and 24th we have now Venus there. So, you know, looking at different ways we can do things. There can be some benefits. We might enjoy communicating. We might, we do need to be careful at the moment, and I definitely do feel this, because our nervous system might have pulled us into overeating, emotional eating during that time, overindulging, maybe spending on some things that were a little bit more luxe in nature, or looking at things to that degree, because we currently do have the Sun in Taurus, so our money is very fixated on love. You know, be it it's going well or not, and the changes directly that need to happen. And it's also going to be in the area of wealth and generation and inheritances and legacies. So although we have Uranus has now exited, you know, and it's stationed in Gemini, I'd say give it a couple of days to unpack. Sometimes what you might have is some revelations or shocks or surprises. But I do feel we're going to need to understand how active it can be. Okay, love, I'll add it. You know, in the context of things. So yeah, just be aware of that. I'll just add you now. How are you doing, Lois? Are you looking after yourself? Even you, yours is going to be kind of in the axis of your second house. There could be a lot going on in your tribe energy at the moment. Okay, so let me read some of the comments. Victoria, Canada, beautiful night here. Hope everyone is doing okay. Yeah, I did send you a few messages, Lisa, to do with the twin flame path. So, oh God, yeah, they're going to be having some fun. It is a rewrite. I really do believe the Scorpio axis is really like a those that have moved through, say, a North Node or a Venus you know, you tend to be able to deal with the more taboo subjects. You tend to be able to, you could walk into a house that absolutely looked like crap and you could turn it around. Like, you have this innate ability to transform something into gold. And although many of you can feel very tired in that area of life, you're well aware of the recycling of energy and how in life we have endings and new beginnings. And you know, many of us at the moment are very tired. We're wary of what we see on the news. We could be overstimulated. We could have a lot of information overload. But I'd say, you know, one thing that we're really guided to do through this, which is, it's very difficult because most of us do need to actually learn to trust our instincts and to trust our intuition with circumstances to guide us through the process, with you know, even where it comes to trends and things to that degree. Not that I believe many people are going to be looking at that, but where it does come to business and, you know, trying to beat the curve and working out how to actually navigate through the difficulties of that, I feel a lot of people are going to come up with some real changing innovative ideas. The one thing I have noticed is social media, with the ingress, you know, leading into it, there was a lot of glitches that were directly happening in social media. And we had that last time when we had the North Node in Gemini, and that was pretty horrendous. So, yes, our way in which we run our businesses online can be changing, how you communicate with people, having backup plans, looking at how we use energy as well, and how we can save and become resourceful with those things. I do believe we are going to be looking at. Fingers crossed yours will add up. With what, Dale? Yeah, so big changes, that's for sure. Okay, so I'll push the list up. If I've missed anyone, give me a heads up. I have actually referenced the cost per Q&A for the public. Those that do join our membership, which even what I will be doing is when the membership is open, I'll be emailing those that have got on the list. A certain pocket of them, first and best dress, will be into the super chats while they're still going within the membership, and they actually get it at 20 AUD, so they do actually get it cheaper. So if that's something you're interested in, plus it's a private forum, we do go in there regularly, and I'm communicating with the members while I'm building out different sections of it, basically giving them some tips and updates about, you know, some of the transits and how they can be playing out. So if you're interested in that, the link's below and you can go take a look at the landing page and sign up. Now we'll get the cards and we'll get into the super chats. So what experiences have you guys been having? Has it been changes in career? Has it been changes in ideas and belief systems? Have you found, you know, certain zodiac signs might become fanatical to do with certain subject matters? Because of where Pluto is in their chart, it could be that they're really diving deep into it and actually researching it. Some zodiac signs also having issues with their friendship groups. Yes, got them. My anger is, oh, let me see that. Let me read that. My anger is coming through my, I'm Libra, not feeling that side of me at the moment. You know, it's interesting because, you know, that's why I reached out to actually ask. Oh, she's just precious. Did you put the 25 AUD in? I haven't looked. I'll have to look. Yeah, so twin flame journey is hard. It's like, you know, if you're wanting change, you've got to change the way you directly, you know, deal with it. Yeah, Leos are having that. But again, what it's training you to be is just, you know, the hard part is with Saturn and Neptune and Aries is, in a way, especially with Jupiter and Gemini, which has different faces, we're able to put different hats on with different people. We can have this anxiety. And what I did find myself doing, and it could be something that is quite of the nature of collective energy, is I was really doing things differently to sit with the wound and to respond to it differently. So it's like, okay, very similar to the twin flame path, which is what I've always promoted. Okay. I'll put you on, I'll put you on the list on this occasion, but yeah, generally it's 25 AUD though. Let's see. So yeah, navigating the friendship groups, it could be that you realize, and healing's a different thing, man. Like, sometimes we can personalize what's happening. Sometimes we can believe it's about us. So, how I've been operating inside it is I have been sitting with it and looking at my ascension path and realizing at times I felt pig in the middle or misunderstood, and things to that degree. And, as long as you know you're being above board, we can be extremely paranoid that people are out to get us. We is Sometimes we can even feel very burdened with having to make decisions on our own. And there was a lot of creative ideas coming through my mind, depending on whether you own a house or rent a house and some of the problems you could be faced with during economic uncertainty and, how you can navigate those circumstances. And so I think everyone at a collective level is looking at that problem solving energy, but also maybe even personally facing those things with how to navigate that the best you can and come up on top. And, really just even looking at rentals in Perth, WA, it's absolutely disgusting. I start a new job Monday in nursing. We'll be working in a 7-bed care home. Even that, because of the nature of the industry and because it's in the South Node, what we're going to find is we haven't even ended the cycle yet. But because it is in the South Node and the North Node is in Pisces, particular industries could still have another shake-up yet to come. And that can be for a myriad of reasons. And it may never be the same again. So, I'm wary with it. I know we always have to show up in a day-to-day, and that's my best advice is, use it and then look at something that you can build for yourself. And many of us aren't going to want to do that. Many of us are going to be forced to do that. I'm just going to be real with you. Some people that I have been around have talked about doing, and I don't call it a side hustle. It is not a side hustle I'm referencing. I'm referencing something that you can build that is going to be for you, that can't be taken from you. So, it's about looking at those things and saying, where can I create that stability? That can be for myself at a permanent nature. And I do feel with the transit, some of those ideas are actually going to come through. Naturally speaking, Libra is directly evolving. And I was having a chuckle with a friend of mine, and I'm going to get into this read in a minute, because they're in Aries and I have Libra placements. And I was laughing because there was a statement piece that I saw on Instagram, and it was stating that Aries are, self-centered and all the rest of it. I was like, no. When you look at the axis between Libra and Aries, they're quite similar in nature. One is extremely independent. One will, end up and what is Libra? It's a masculine sign. So sometimes Libra can be the Venusian energy, but a big karmic lesson that we learned was there is a difference between giving without boundaries. Because A, that's enabling, and B, that doesn't help that person transform. Libra is great at making everyone happy, at sometimes the detriment to themselves. And so the Libra energy does count, and that's where bitterness with certain people can come up, is that it's like you haven't listened to Libra, so you don't understand what Libra needs. And it's like, but have you articulated what you need, which is the shadow sign? It's the healthy boundaries of, Aries. It's, well, hang on a minute, there is cause and effect, and hang on a minute, I do have power and I can take it away if I choose to. And the shadow side, say you're Aries. Aries is the same principle. So Aries many times does not ask for help. And I don't think this is what this transit's about. I don't think you can collectively be an island. I do think we do need to understand the nature of it. The beautiful thing about Aries is, and the pain that we're directly going through at the moment, is because we had our sky lit up with Aries. Now, if you can picture the nature of a natural birth, it is painful both for the child and the mother. And so Jupiter in Cancer it's the growth, right? and there's growing pains, there's changes from this brand new world. And what is Aries doing when it's born? It's excited like the Fool card in Tarot, and it's looking out to the world with infinite possibilities like the Fool card in Tarot. And so that conjunction point, it brings yin to the yang. So we need to navigate it extremely cautiously. We need to look at going, okay, we're young. We're wanting to have fresh starts. I mean, you look all over social media, and especially on comments and certain videos, it's like, I left my relationship or I left my job. And it's like, Saturn's going, hold on a minute. Did you look at this, this, and this? So it's not saying you can't have that. Saturn's giving us the backbone and the structure to create the things you need to do. It's doing the hard yards, but yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot longer, but through it, if you chip away at it, within the 2.5 year mark, you'll have something to have for yourself, if that makes sense, depending on where it's landing. Now, the first one we have is research clue. Do we have research clue in the house? So yeah, no, Aries is fine until you, disregard the fact that they have needs too, and it's okay. They're independent. Do they need to learn to ask? Yeah. Can they be open and vulnerable? Yeah. Do they own too much? Like, very similar to Libra. Do they need to be everything to everyone? Yeah. I know they don't. Whatever comes up this week was explosive. I feel you, girl. We do have similar placements in our chart. I am not surprised. You know? Yeah. Although I tell you, people are going to be. Of this, I had mentioned to my physio that they'd have particular style clients coming in with particular wounds and things to that tune. And I was like, no, not really. And then the following week I went there. They're like, actually, how did you know? Because I follow transits. So people can be in the toxic energy or the positive energy. And at the moment, people are going to be, we're almost going to feel like we don't fit into particular groups. Is that good? No. We're going to need to maybe sit with hearing other situations out, seeing their perspective, and not believing at all times that we are 100% on things. Because Neptune's sitting in Aries. So, looking outside the box. If we can be open-minded, still hold your belief, but digest, unpack it, sit with it, then form an opinion after, you're going to do a lot better. Okay, so what do we have here for you? Oh, man, you got two things going on. Okay, old subjects towards a past situation. How I'm seeing this based on these two cards, because I pulled one of the cards from the stack, and your crowning energy. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse. Now, this is to do with mind. The mind is sometimes a prison, honestly. So it could be at the moment that every circumstance that you're currently dealing with is very cloudy at the moment, and how your perception of it could be bringing up some old triggers of the past. Yes, sometimes what it can do, especially when we're like, I literally put my head in my hands over the weekend, because it was, and I know my limits, and I have big limits, trust me. But if it's an oversaturation of information, we need to slow down. We're like, okay, you might have given me that information. You just need to let me breathe and digest this. Uranus is too fast. And I was already picking that up. And my husband's going, why do you have your head in your hands? I'm like, can I just breathe? Like, it's overwhelmed with this and this and this and this. And it's like, whoa. Just give me 5. I'm a high drive computer, but just give me 5 and I'll process what all those pieces are. Now, the reason I'm saying this is causing conflict and it's bringing up old triggers is naturally, I'm just going to be real. When we look at a circumstance and we're feeling disempowered or overwhelmed, the first thing as human beings we go to do is blame what got us here in the first place, which is so fucking unproductive. It's not funny. It could be to do with relationships and romances and the whole reason and twin flame path. And so then it's like, you know, and it's natural. We're human beings. It's natural. Many of us have had so much change. Like there was an activation in 2002, 2012, 17 to 18. Some were waking up in 19. 2020 was major, which I had predicted back, I think 2017, 18, something large would happen to bring the world together. And it theoretically did. Because we were isolated, we started growing empathy for each other. Now, you know, moving into this new chapter, we all do have an accountability and, you know, we've got burdens on our shoulders. So sometimes we directly feel we're going through this all alone. Okay. Sometimes we feel that, you know, this is all on us. And like you could be thinking, am I going down the right path right now? Am I on that right path? Can I keep sacrificing the things that I need? What am I planting next? What am I going to do in the bigger picture? I said this to you 2 months ago. You will literally start looking outside the box. You will literally look at things that you thought were absolutely gospel and stable as maybe needing a physical review. And and I've heard this for a while, and this is something I have heard. The pivots we need to make is between now and June, July. Okay, if you can start moving those pivots, those new chapters, those new seeds, you have effectively bought yourself some time. Although many of us are going to feel we haven't bought ourselves time. Here it's showing plant a seed. You could be looking at, the funny thing is in energy, when we think frugal or tightening our belts, for some reason it always blocks that chi. Okay. We have you here in the 7 of coins. You're like, okay, what am I investing in? Right? What am I investing in here? Is it good? Is it bad? Now, you could effectively stay till the ship goes down, or you could intuitively say, no, it's going to be fine. And that's fine too. Your intuition is trying to process what to do next, but you have effectively changed. And sometimes it's really hard to fake that truth. It's like, okay, energetically, do any of us feel prepared? No, and you don't feel prepared either. You're kind of looking at it going, I don't really feel prepared. You are though, because you have information, you have time, you have a window. So with that window, you are showing up as the Queen of Swords. And look at this. This person's literally climbing out of shit. All right. Which means you do have the time. It's what you do with it. Whatever I try to build gets sabotaged. I wonder if it's ever going to change. Mate, look, what I've always found with things is when doors close or when doors are blocked, it's saying not yet. It's not saying no, but it could be also saying you're going in the wrong direction. So they're trying to save you. Universe always, the old method and saying is, rejection is universe's protection. And it's only in hindsight that I've noticed that when there is that there, always move into your instinct away from the ego. When you're looking at things and going, oh, I feel deflated, maybe you need to nurture yourself. Maybe you need to rest for a little bit. So, because when we are too triggered and we're too go, where it's literally our head down, we're not looking up, we're going to head our head on a pole, you're not getting the clarity of that painting. So you need to gain that depth of feel to actually stop, breathe, go through all the trauma and the thinking. It'll take 5 minutes. It won't take long. And then go, now, is there something I haven't seen? Is there something I'm not looking at? Is there something I'm not being honest with here? Because they're wanting you to slow down to look at it, okay? You're not cursed. It's timing. As soon as I saw this year's charts, where my placements are, I was like, oh, fuck. Now, it's you and I have similar placements. You're more likely to succeed because you have that nature, okay? Because you understand in life, change happens whether we want it or not. Change happens on a daily, we just don't happen to notice it. One thing that is on a regular basis, that's always happening, that's consistent, is the sun and moon. Everything else has been changing. Our age, our status, our finances, our children growing, it's always been changing. But when it's something very personal to us, first it happens on an internal level, and then it happens at an external level. And it never feels nice, but on the opposite side of it, because you have the skill of Scorpio, you will find solutions where nobody else can find them. You will find a diamond in the rough because of the nature of that position. So it is your saving grace, it is your gift. But, you know, the axis of Scorpio and Taurus is not selling your soul to the devil. It's not all about finances. Yes, we need to eat, but it's always been about the process. So a lot of the learnings and lessons of Scorpio is to go through that process and to come back and you're totally different. And then your skill set is Taurus. Okay. You already have that innately in you, which is the shadow sign. Now, you probably had issues around that because Uranus was there. It's now moved. So some of that can start liberating. You really need to know where Gemini is. You've got to look outside the box to where this bad luck is. Is it people, places, and things? So I'm going to pull a clarifier. But just note what you're going through. Note the emotions that are coming up. But go easy on yourself. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. The anxiety can be high. We're also going to have a full moon on the 1st of May, and it's in Scorpio. So you'll already be feeling that energy, right? So it's the 1st of May, it's a full moon, it's 11 degrees. The rewrite, which can be to do with your wealth, will happen around the same time next month. So especially with Jupiter, because it's coming off its kind of shadow direct, it's been very slow to move those goods forward. You're going to start seeing growth in that department, okay? So even in your wealth, you can have seeds of perspectives. Nobody can take from you. The cards are really saying you have a lot more power than you think. It's also saying if you do, you've got the wellness card here. So there's healing, there's recovery. The mind is a critical point. If the mind can't get straight, the attitude and notion, the psychology is really important at the moment. I think, again, the recovery time for you, I would say give it a week, because a lot of this from the outcome card at the moment is that emotion. It's bad luck. Is something going to happen? The anxiety associated to it. But even bad luck can turn into good luck. So say you had a tarot moment and you lost a job, you could get remittance, you know, money kind of coming to you, time frame to overlap. Just an example. But regardless, if there is a wellness situation that you're having to address, go and take a look, have some rest, recoup. But once your mind is rested, your whole perception on this, I believe, is going to totally change. So, you know, getting enough rest, getting grounded, taking the shoes off, and, you know, stepping back from the painting, that's going to give you the clarity you actually need. And then I think once you get that clarity, you're going to forge your plan, and that's when you're going to see that forward momentum. I hope that helps. Let's see, who do we have next? We have Dawn, and I believe Dawn is away. I think Dawn's away. You're most welcome, Research Chloe. I feel you, girl. I'll try and chime in, and we can have a chat in the members. Dawn, how are you going with Uranus and your zodiac sign? Girl, don't get overwhelmed with this transit. Oh, God. If you wanted a party with like a Gemini over the next, oh, God, yeah. Oof, that's going to be interesting. You know the picture I have? What's that movie? Cracks me up. Um, it's about a buck stew. What's it called? Do you guys know the movie I'm talking about? Hmm. What did I miss? Okay, Dawn. Oh, God. You got a lot going on, woman. You are in the Five of Wands. This can be you trying to move through a lot of things. Probably the way in which you're responding now is very different. Uh, be careful of misunderstandings at the moment, especially because you will be integrating. You could people may really misunderstand you, I'd say at this point. You try to, like I said, try to not burn yourself out. You could have a change in your value systems of the way you see things. You could have so many radical ideas. It's going to be important to stick to a set few. Definitely record them down, but remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. Now, any misunderstandings at this point could be due to how your energy is going to be supercharged. So, Epsom salt baths, grounding, earthing, taking time out, especially if you're working in healing and you have a lot of energy coming. What you're going to find is that necessity to detox is going to be supercharged. So, after a session with a client, smudging the head, taking 5, drinking herbal tea, tuning out of it like you're unpacking it and actually coming back to the here and now is going to be pretty important. But actually developing clearing tools, anchoring tools, and time out for self. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're really going to be zapped and people are going to really, um, run you down. You also naturally may run yourself down. They're asking you to cross the T's and dot the I's. Anything to do with paperwork and contracts, really, really review them. You could be in your mind. It's almost like a snake shedding skin, wanting to really go with the flow, letting go of things that force you to sacrifice yourself. You're in this evolving cycle, but I just keep picturing this snake that's shedding skin and evolving into this new chapter. People may find your energy quite supercharged. They may be pivoting towards you, but your world is coming into this brand new opportunity at the moment. And something maybe that you had thought you would do in a year or 2 years, it's coming up to the plate a lot sooner. It also could be asking you for some creative independence, autonomy. It's not saying don't liaison with others, but it is creating a situation where you gain more confidence in yourself and understand that, how do I explain it? You becoming comfortable with who you are helps others become comfortable with who they are without the, chameleon, like literally becoming comfortable with who you are. You might find people may push back on you and want you to be like them. This can even be in your twin flame path. I'd say just really lean into being the authentic version of you. I think Matthew McConaughey said this years ago, is that they were not the person they were yesterday, let alone today. And Miley Cyrus even has referenced this. And that is because we're always forever evolving and that signifies growth. So it's okay to lean in and be the person you are. The true people of who really love and care for you are always going to respect that about you. And it's even going to motivate them to be that themselves. And I think you might have triggered somebody or are going to trigger somebody, and that's kind of the cause and effect of it. So try not to fret too much based on that. Really go into your intuition and trust your instincts. If you have a hunch about somebody, and I don't think this is to do with a romantic partner, I think this could be to do with some um, kind of business deal. That's what I'm getting. If you have a hunch about something, I want you to trust that hunch. Yeah, you need to, again, they're saying you are going to, I just see 2 feet. And they're saying 1 foot here and 1 foot there. And I don't feel it's in reference to a foot in one door and a foot in the other. I think it's more in reference to, how do I put it? It's like protecting yourself, okay? Because they can, no matter what, you're having this rebirth and you want to withstand the biggest winds. And all of your creative ideas, if you have creative ideas, don't share them with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, okay? Because pick the one that's going to serve you, but you might turn around and come back to others. But keep them for yourselves. If you feel they're going to support the collective, that's a different thing. But as to something that you're wanting to generate for yourself, if you have a radical idea, especially if maybe a co-worker or a friend, an ally is like poo-pooing it, keep it for yourself because they're saying you're actually sitting on a gold mine. Okay. We have Cosmic Journey. Oops, I almost deleted Cosmic Journey. Bad Yildiz. Every time I tune into your read Cosmic Journey, I keep feeling an Aries energy. You do have Aries in your chart, don't you? Because it's almost like the personality energy has really transformed. Even though you might be feeling, you're not feeling so great. But you're really coming through like a bold new version of yourself. And these growing pains, like I said, Aries is like it's just being born. So it's fresh new eyes. It can be scary. It can be exciting. I mean, think of a child, how they're looking at the world. It's all of those things. And, some of us between now and I would say the nodes shifting, we can really be feeling worlds that we've been in are just not there anymore, like totally different worlds. And that can be good and bad. But as we move forward, never going to be the same again. Like we literally are rewriting history collectively together. And it can be very nerve-wracking. But, because this falls in your zodiac sign, that Pisces, Virgo axis, you're looking at your connections, you're looking at your partnerships, you're feeling into those things of what you have, what you don't have, previous situations, where you are today. Similar to Research Clue, we are looking at these things, and sometimes we can go into this, I've been abandoned, who do I have? I'm all alone, I have all these burdens on my shoulder. And I think these are opportunities for us to actually network. I think wherever we find in our life a lack is where it's saying, okay, go and plant some seeds. This is the time. You've acknowledged there's this lack in this place. How directly can we transfer that? And that was something that I referenced inside the membership, is that what I really wanted to create in that Aquarius energy was zones for people per country, so that as per the membership, you can actually network with people in your country to problem solve. So that's where we can break that isolation barrier and turn something into Uranus and Gemini, which is bringing people together. So I feel at the moment for you, you've got a lot to do with your connections. You've got a lot to do with your home. You've got a lot to do with, generating income and things to that degree. And it does feel like it's something quite center point. There is this kind of ribbon connected in this connection. And it's like it is in the middle. This connection is still there, but at the same time, there has been, it's almost like you're feeling you've done things by the book, you're trying to keep things on the up and up. But this interference in this third party circumstance, it's just been extra, okay? And generally with these transits, especially because we have the moon in Virgo, it is going to be heightened in emotion. So if you are having some shadow energies coming up at the moment, it's quite natural. The other thing is it's showing you that you're wanting something different. You're sad about it. You do feel the connection. You are wanting something different. There's a lot you're evolving in your life at a very personal level. And, some of it feels exciting, but some of it feels super scary. Interesting. You could be questioning the new edition of self. And what do I mean by that? Suddenly, like I said, it was really coming through like you were coming up as Aries, right? And so suddenly, if you have a need, is that a selfish thing? And I was even talking about this to Giggle the other day, and we referenced the very old video I had, which I have kind of hidden again. And it was a time in my life that we call it, and those of you that have followed me for a long time, you'll know the Thai video, where I came out and I had some real home truths about relationships and the twin flame path. And I think there's moments where it's okay to require people to hold accountability. And that it's not, where we do look at the path of awakenings, connections, karmic connections, and things to that degree. We're always trying to do that in a work. And, do you need to be perfect to actually have a connection? No, you don't, but you can be bold and you can say what your benchmark is and what your requirements are. And you can even navigate a circumstance while the person's actually in a karmic relationship to get a different outcome. And, it was bold. It was like, look, down on it. Yes, I do require accountability. Because I think we punish our intuition that we feel that, oh, we're not being nice enough, or we should be understanding, oh, there's tribe involved. And it's like all of those levels. Once we move beyond that and we say, if you are dancing with me, you do have a responsibility. There's a bit of guilt that comes up, but that on the opposite section, it should also be guilt that you haven't actually been the advocate for self, so it's natural for us to kind of go from one extremity to another. But whatever your truth is, if you're needing to say it, just come out and say it. Honestly, just come out and say it. Your worry could be that you're being toxic. No, I think asking, would you be toxic, is healthy because it means you do have a conscience. I don't feel in your cards it's coming through that way. You're still turning up as the high priestess. There's a major conversation coming up, and it is to do with direction, and it's a renegotiation. That's how I'm saying it. It's speaking, the speak that maybe has been spoken, but is going to be re-spoken. Star card. Interesting. Okay. I hope that helps. Those good old days, Lisa. Lois, what do you reckon? Was it funny? Oh, I was so hell-bent that day. It's like, yes, I do require responsibility. And no, I will not take all the blame. It's like, what was that cartoon? Not cartoon. Fairy tale. Off with their heads. I think after, God, I must have been. Now, we have Tracy. How you doing, Tracy? Okay, I'll add you in. Where am I? If I can read the name. I hope I got it right. We are here. Hi. How are you doing? How have you been handling the transits? Did you like my little explanation of Aries and Libra? We have Miss Independence in the house. Yeah, that's another thing I believe. Uranus and Gemini is going to bring some wicked humour, tongue-in-cheek humour. Still just tired. Yeah, I literally felt very knocked out yesterday. Although, I was like, that's got to be solar flares. And I looked and it was like, yeah, X-class flares. Which I do watch Stefan here and there, but, the ascension process is real. Yeah, well, the cartoon energy is going to come up because we did have that eclipse in Aquarius and the shadow signs Leo. So there'll be cartoons, there'll be things to do with childhood and children. The funny thing is, like I said, moving into the South Node, some of our old directions we may change because what's sun? Direction. What lights us up? Okay. Do we want to look at anything in particular? Well, just whatever comes out. Set your intentions. Is it money? Is it love? You're like, oh, I really want to know about that. What love? Love is money. Okay. Do you have money? Nothing. Okay. Whatever comes up. You intuitively feel a change is on the way and that it's almost like what I'm saying is some plans on a desk. You're a dag. I'm telling you, Aries is going to get love. Aries and Libra are getting love. They are. Mark my words. Very different style. They're going to love. So it's like I'm being given a vision. We got this card. And it's almost like the first energy I got was like you referenced, you're feeling tired. But it's weird because in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I'll have to get to that. So there's some creative ideas. There's some things you need to address. So I'd say cleanse your house because somebody's thinking about you. Somebody does have the green-eyed monster on you. They are jealous. Could it be co-workers? It could be. You do have some blessings coming to you, especially if you have had a lot of hiccups and a lot of drama surrounding work, colleagues, career, finances, love. This new reset for you is a total different era. Okay? Yeah, there you go. Your guides are with you, but you need to clear the energy. There's a bit of heavy energy around you, and it's blocking your chi. It's not saying it's going to block it completely from actually progressing forward or manifesting, but there is something kind of hovering over the top that's actually preventing productivity. So they're asking you to clear your environment. You know who you can and can't trust. Okay? Do you have a major family situation going on at the moment? I still see you coming out on top. Cross your T's and dot your I's. Watch your back. If doors close, another's opening, and it'll be far better. So I just feel you got a win-win here. I definitely do. As to a change happening in romance, you do have the Two of Cups. Okay? Do have the Two of Cups. That may be because you're actually laying low, right? laying low, depending on the industry, but you've just got, how do I explain it? We do have the legacy card here. You're like, everything's in its place. It's weird. Are you doing some changes in the house at the moment? Because I would say the frequency of the physical environment, it's not how it usually is. That's what they're referencing. So if things are always like a Virgo, really, really neat and tidy, it's something's off. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm referencing here? It's not how it usually is. But you're okay with that. You're like, oh, I'll get to it. Because that's how it's coming through. That's what's being shown to me. Something is going to have its new natural place soon. Something that you also own. Ah, okay. Something also that you naturally own is going to be worth something quite significant. Yes, I will say I can do later. Yeah, it's like you're going to get to it later. It's you're going with your intuitive frequency, but it's like things aren't naturally how they usually are. They're referencing after a certain event, you are going to get back to it and it's going to get back in order, and that's when things are going to move. So there is a timing with this. You could bump into somebody that you know. It's not that. I just see this big position coming for you. I don't know what this is about. I do think there's a break necessary. There could be some travel involved in some shape or form. But they're referencing something to do with your family as well. Wherever you're going, when you come back, everything's going to change. But it's also you're changing. What you're tolerating, what you're not tolerating. I think it's going to be more vocal. But yeah, something end of May. Oh, okay. There's something to do with family that is going to come up between now and the end of that month, I believe. Is there an anniversary of somebody around you at the moment that has already transcended over? Cool. You tell me. Because I'm telling you, it's more vocal. It's like, nah, move. This is what needs to happen now. Oi, get that done now. I think people around you, this could be your kids. You could be like a drill sergeant by the end of this. You're going to be like, look, I've got a lot on my plate. You're going to pull your weight because mama ain't doing everything. That's how it's coming through. But it's a changed energy. It's a changed attitude. I'm seeing the need for a break. I'm seeing travel. I do see a subject to do with maybe a mother energy or a family member. This is older. They're also referencing an anniversary time of a passing of somebody, but it's an old anniversary. Does that make sense? So it's not something that's happened quite recently. It's something that's happened prior, and that person's energy is around you. That's what they're referencing. I hope that helps. You like that now? Yeah. You do need to, you've got to rest, stay, because this is going to be supercharged times. Be really realistic about what you can achieve. You know, October, interesting. Well, that energy's around you. Yeah. Yeah, can. The information for it is directly there. And we now have, okay, so who do we have next? We've got Leo next. We'll put this down the bottom. Wonder if you can do two at once. No, that sucks. We'll put this back up the top. Hi, Leonix. How you doing, doll? I'll put it back up the top. It's just easier. What do you want to look at, my love? Whoa, that just jumped out. Great mystery. Suddenly very sleepy. Yeah, a lot of solar flares. Uranus and Gemini is our nervous system. It's like, oh my word, like I'm just like, I went out yesterday for 5, got home, slept for 5 hours. I was like, didn't even do much. Okay. Great. Sister called, daughter called. They're like, where is my mother? Where's my sister? Sleeping? Okay, let's take a look. Oof. You know, the ultimate best time for movement with these things, you're going to start having movement anyway. Juno is directly hitting you in that department because of the Aquarian nature of it and where it's falling for your zodiac sign. So this Juno retrograde, think about my Thai video, okay? That's about the best way I can describe Juno retrograde. That's how you're going to feel. I just want to say. So at the moment, it might be, you know, make like a little kitten. Later, it might be, who let the dogs out? You're going to bring all the crap up from the surface. Yeah. Hey, look, evolution, it's hard yards, man. It's hard yards. We do all have to go through it. We all will get there. Sometimes we just eat more hay in the process. So it's change or be dragged. You know, it's hard. It's hard. So trust me with that. No criticism. Just accept change. Best advice I can give you. Accept change. Always look at yourself. What is it trying to tell us, whether we want it or not? Transformation is occurring, okay? Transformation. Your relationship with each other is about to deepen. Love conquers and transforms all things. And, you know, at the moment, you're just like, am I being delulu? Why is that? You know, what? Well, we've got Neptune and Aries. And where Juno will retrograde, you're going to pick that up by the end of May. I'd say it's probably, sometimes, to be perfectly honest, you can pick it up as early as a month away, right? So for you, left or right for you? You pick the side, left or right. Left for you? Okay, you're like, I just don't want to get myself into a pickle. You got to say, in many ways, I would say you are going to feel quite tired. You do need to look after your wellness because you can start getting run down. Just really caring for that integration at the moment. Part of you is probably looking at, from an emotional level, not like you're wanting to dive in. And, you know, it's going to be even more alluring. How do you swap the mirror to what that person's doing? Sometimes we play chess, right? So you could be going, they're not calling me, I'm not calling them. Sometimes you can swap it up and just chuck a statement out there. It's not even a question. That's the awkward part. Because when you put something out there that isn't a question, it means that they don't need to respond, but it also means that if they do want to take the cheese, then it's going to be because they choose to. So you're not giving them an easy way out. You're making a statement only. which is like, no need to reply. That's the statement. It's like, oh, it could be saying, I'm going to leave it to your mind to work that out. Okay. Then pulling back and just letting it go. Then the person's going to be like, well, that was hella random. And then you don't respond back. You don't get bitchy. You don't get nasty. You're just keeping it pretty neutral. And then give it dates. They're going to respond. They're going to change the way they're going to respond. They're going to be incredibly confused. It's about trying to find the harmony between that, because then you're playing poker. You're going back and forward. Where you're at is, I don't want to get myself in the doo-doo. Okay. I'm trying to change patterns. So yes, you've been changing patterns and habits. You've noticed it with friendship groups. You're responding to things differently. You're being more cautious. You know, one minute you're feeling, look, I'm just going to be single forever. The next minute you're like, I don't feel that resonates with me. You will, in this cycle, attract a person. Could you be more paranoid at the moment that something is going on? Yes. The further into this we get, at an emotional level, you will be feeling paranoid that something is going on behind the scenes. It's the true test of where you've done the work. If you have evidence, that is another thing. If it's just coming up because it's an old wound and you're directly responding from it, you're going to have a lot of work during that Juno retrograde. Although generally Juno is the judgment of masculine, it's also something about us that's changing. It's a two-sided transaction. Okay, triggers, jealousy, insecurities. You're going to have to respond to this differently in order to get a different outcome. There are some changes that are happening in their life. They are looking to more traditional routes of life. They feel, oh God. Interesting. They're feeling the pension life. This could be economically. They are referencing back to a time in which an opportunity was offered to you for marriage and how you took that. They directly can understand that. There could be a circumstance in their life similar to that where they're having to readdress it and go, do I need to relook at that again? Now, could that be circumstantial? It could be. Their outcome at the moment is the Ten of Swords. There's a personal circumstance they're dealing with at the moment that is a very difficult situation. They're not, it's funny, it's almost like they're not wanting to open up and outright say to you, hey, I'm actually having some real difficulty here. And it's very separate to the romantic connection. It feels it's financial, and they do feel worried. They feel very, very worried about their future and how they will be able to actually support, help, or be there. So they do feel there is this level up that's required. And to dive in the deep to actually look at that, they could be looking at their home environment. I would say give it a couple of days. I do see a telephone call coming in. Again, there's an offer here. There is an offer. Okay. They have a hunch about something and they're going to offer you an opportunity here. They're saying, your guides are saying, you must tear this person out. With what they're offering, don't jump to conclusions, okay? Hear them completely out and review. You guys are saying, you're going to need to listen to this. You're going to need to listen to this. That's all they're saying. It's like, don't chop them off at the leg, don't shut them down or cease. Just hear the whole situation out. I think if you do pause, like I was recommending for research clues, step back from the painting, you're going to see the deeper kind of person's perspective. And then you can address, okay, do I take this off or don't I? But it's like you're going to have to listen. I think with one of the offers, one of the blockages that you've had has been tribe and family. So it's almost like as soon as you hear this, you're sort of like, no, don't want this. And it's like you have to hear them out. That's what your guides keep saying. You drop the ego. You have to hear them out. It's important. Okay. You're going to hear them out. What do we have next? We have Lois. Whoa, that just bounced out. Gather your tribe. How's family going, Lois? Lois. So has anyone been gardening yet? Where are you all in the world? Still being Facebook stalked by tearful karmic grandson. Interesting. You know, I always find that interesting when it's the karmic, right? All the karmic's family, it's generally a statement that shit's going down in Donkey Town. I'm just being real. They're not going to be watching you if everything's peachy gory. You know what? You know what I mean? They're not going to be watching that. It kind of mucks them up because they've kind of told you something's not going so great on the homestead. You know, it's not rocket science. It's like if your ex's family starts to stalk you and you have not been talking to them, you have been tending to your own garden, you know some shit's going down. I'm telling you. Right. Okay. Big things happening on the home front. You know what I do get, Lois, is you have this big plan for your home environment. There could be a little bit of ripples at the moment, and you know, but I think there's going to be a big problem solved. Big problem solved. What am I saying? They're sort of showing me an energy of you sitting meditating, you know, just very quiet. There could be a lot of warmth and love in the home environment. There could be some, you know, mate, it's almost like I see you doing something quite isolated on your own, but it's like you're having downloads and premonitions. They are referencing a point of like some of these dreams can be weird. They can be visitations from tribal members on the other side, like their tribal members, if that makes sense. And I don't know, it's almost like they're referencing maybe on their side of the family a parent energy that transcended over. And from that point, something completely has changed. This could be a new individual too, and something quite major about to change in the joint connection with the karmic. Yeah, because we have the Empress here, but it's like that's how they're showing it to me. Do you get what I'm saying? still see this poor person walking down the road. The weird thing is, it could be coming through in one of your, like in a child's energy. The message could be coming through, or the direct contact will come through that person. Oh, hello. They're worried about you. They're concerned that, you know, you're coming in to cut the lunch. You're doing your own thing. But this channeled energy, you're feeling a rumbling of something quite significant about to change. Where's their energy at? I get this feeling it's something major to do with them. Let's pull a few cards for them. Because yours is like, you're feeling it through the ethers. Why are they referencing 3 children? Is it 3 families that are living with you, or they're referencing 3? They're also saying 3rd time lucky. Okay, what's going on with this person? Right, what is with this 5 of Wands coming up? Should I be surprised? It's almost like we're all, going through these changes, climbing out of dodge, trying to get out of a situation with abilities. Like, I think we underestimate our abilities, to be perfectly honest, at the moment. Well, they're in the Magician. What forces us to get out of dodge? Being in the 10 of Swords, right? It's like, well, what you can't carry, you've got to drop. You've got to let go. It's going to lighten the load. It gives you this ability to actually pivot into these new chapters. Something has just been an absolute burden. It could have been a very one-sided transaction. They've known that they've had the power in this for a very long time. Yeah, they've known that this was coming head on. I'm hearing sending out an SOS, right? I did have 3 family members here, but they have moved. Have they moved close, Lois? Is it close by? You got new energy coming in. Your land also may be used for additional things. That's what they're referencing. But I'm definitely, this to me is some breakdown in the karmic relationship. And they're like, I just can't do this anymore. You're either going to get communication, contact. This person, the problem is when a person is exiting a very toxic situation and you have a psychic spiritual connection to them, you're going to pick up on their shit. Okay? You will pick up on it. Okay, but I don't see anything as to bad in reference to you. No, they're like, oh my god, I just want to go. I just keep seeing Dorothy clicking the feet and wanting to go home. Does that make sense? Like wanting to go somewhere where they feel understood. But bit of a showdown, and the anger that is coming up with them, I don't know why they're referencing this. I'm going to pull a chakra card because I feel it has some reference to do with money and the karmic's lifestyle, like the way they are with their lifestyle. Does that make sense? They don't want to tighten their belt. So they're putting a lot of, is this person like a one income family? Maybe that's how it's coming through. And so it's like this person's going, you're making a mess of this situation. Yeah, something messy's happened, that's for sure. Okay, what is this to do with? Yeah, like it just feels losing everything they have. Does that make sense? She took the whole 401k. Oh god. Yeah, but it's weird. It's almost like it's been this, I don't know, it's kind of like they're showing me gambling. like gambling something away to the point. I mean, what's home? It's a family. It's where you live. It's like just and they're like in the Ten of Swords. Well, what's left? Like you, I don't know what to do. You're going to have to work out what to do. But it's like they're doing some adios. But they're also dropping the situation because that's actually putting them down, not building them back up. And they're like, I can't keep doing this. That's how it's coming through to me. AKA short and brief reading, my love. I'll pull you 3 cards. Far out. Oh, look. You know, in hindsight, you look at it at the moment, the economy. Are we going to have any of that? You know what I mean? I look at mine and I'm like, I don't even think in my lifetime I'll see it. Not the way things are going. It's like, I'm trying to think outside the box of other things if I can't have that as a backup. Okay. Oh. They're saying don't go so fast, slow down. You have some ideas that you want to go towards. Let things flow. You are in a new chapter no matter what. Right? You're in this cycle of life. So you are planting the seeds associated to new. But they're saying also slow down. Okay, this orange chakra, it's the base chakra, it's the foundation of all things. And I do know you have Scorpio in your chart too. So that orange chakra, sometimes we can be super overconfident when the floor is lava. Does that make sense? So it's like slow down. It's not saying you're not, it's saying it's almost like assess the environment, dig deeper, look at the deeper reasons, test the air. You know what I mean? Because something that gives you freedom, what you're thinking can give you freedom, and what you think is moving forward, you don't want to have to go back to the start and start again. Does that make sense? So it's saying gauge the timing, slow down, gauge the timing. No rushing. This fucking card. No rushing. What you're trying to do is climb out of things, not jump into things that won't have stability. It's there to give you freedom, but what you're working for is the freedom, but you need to be careful about what you're selecting for that freedom. Okay, so it could be causing some anxiety. You could be like, okay, I'm doing this. Should I do that? I'm doing this. Should I do that? Like, it's pause. Pause, think about what will create that. And honestly, most of that will probably, you'll know what is going to be and what is not going to be. And they're saying keep your options open. Don't limit yourself and don't like, it really depends on your goal. That'll probably be a personal booking, but it depends on your goal and what you're wanting to achieve. Whether you want to change or not, you know, sometimes when we're in the absolute driving seat, we're like, hell, you know, I'm in the driving seat. I'm really liking this. To be gospelly honest, 9 times out of 10, the change, we don't like change. We just don't. It feels uncertain. And we've got a bit of PTSD from Uranus and Taurus. It's like, oh, look at this beautiful crop. And then the rain comes and floods it and it's rotten. It's like, oh, well, you know, I just spent months and months growing that, nurturing it, and now it's gone. But I put energy into that. Yes, sorry, it's gone. It's gone. So the PTSD. Naturally, what we want to do is go back to something that feels super familiar and comforting. Pisces, where the North Node is like, it's saying the same thing as the South Node. It's over. Like the old is over. The fog has dropped. We're seeing the world in a whole new way, for good and bad. That old is over. You in the world with what you hold inside of you is not. It's still here. Hi, Hazel. Okay, so what you're wanting to do is to be free, but there could be some hard yards involved. They're also, you've got it twice, the desire to be free. Oh, okay. Okay. Freedom horse. Look at this. Because we've got freedom and freedom, right? Saying the same shit. What year are we in? Fire horse? What does it do? Now, what does a horse do when it's scared? It runs. What do we do when we have an opportunity? We run towards it. Now, could we be missing things at sideswipe? Yes, we can be. So sometimes we do need to pick when to run, when to slow down. I think don't rush. That's what I'm hearing. When you need to leap on an opportunity, yes, but providing you've taken 5 minutes to go, hang on a minute, can you see the bigger picture in this? Keep your eye on the goal. If it's not the bigger picture and you haven't looked at trends, like, it's going to be important for you to have a broad range Gemini of all facets of life at the moment. This is probably the one time in history we need to be Gemini. And what do I mean by that? Looking at the economy, looking at your skills, being a jack of all trades, having intellectual awareness, being open-minded. So if you're making a decision based on just what the world used to be before, it's going to be really hard to navigate that. If you're making it based on checking some few points, having your own personal experience, and then going, okay, my initial goal was this, okay, I can navigate that way to get that, I think that's going to help. They're also saying you might want to be close by, but just referencing divine timing. Yeah, divine timing. Time will tell. I hope that helps. Yeah, just don't rush though. Okay, who do we have next? Sophia, how are you doing? How have you been, Hazel? Are you looking after yourself, love? How's your daughter? How's my mini-me? It's been way too long. Haven't had a peep from DM for years and started to feel his energy quite strong last few months. You know, I'm not surprised. When I do look at the transits, because we had, you know, you look back to 2017 and we had Chiron and Pisces. So the divine feminines were really, I think it was 17, 18. We were going through a lot of what we're going through now. So it's not our first rodeo. For a lot of people, you can call that the awakened time. So we had the shadow work, we had the integration, we felt isolation. Should we say this? Should we not? Are we delusional? Are we dreaming? So there was all that psychic energy that was coming through. Theoretically, this nodal stage, divine masculines at the moment are healing their tribal energy. Okay, marriages, entanglements, childhood references, what it is to be a masculine. They're doing that shadow work associated to it. They're coming out of that this month, but we also do have now, we still have the nodes in Pisces. Once they shift, it's going to amplify. And for a lot of you, you will start directly getting some communication. It does depend on their zodiac sign, though. So going from feeling entrapped, which is, you know, it's the 12th house, to feeling I'm independently, autonomously me. I've been trapping myself. Those walls were a figment of my imagination, thus I created. I think that's really where they're coming to. You know, and some people, some astrologers have been referencing that means that people will just stay solo. I actually don't believe that. And see, the thing is, they tend to go through their ascension process, although they are technically slightly like how we do it and how they do it, it kind of swaps. So where we're very on the spiritual level of things, we can then drop down into the 3D. So if you've been doing hunter-gatherer working and being very human and not really thinking about it, it's almost like it's bouncing back into both now. So you could be doing the both energies. The other is that they are looking at that and they're having revelations of, okay, healthy boundaries and accountability and responsibility and liberation and able to be myself. So sometimes the karmic relationships, they would have very much been, how would I say it, tolerating and enabling codependency. And why does that come up? It generally comes up. We're generally placed in circumstances in our life to do our shadow work. So, and it heals their childhood trauma. So if they're in a karmic relationship, for instance, and they've got kids and things to that degree, well, you'd have to ask, what did they have happen in their childhood? So you get the shadow effect of it, but you get the reason why it's happening. And once they go through that trauma untangling, they actually come out the other side and correct it, understand what it is, and disconnect what that frequency is. So this is kind of where we're at. With those individuals, if that makes sense. And it's still even with the exit of that. Yeah, say tribal energy. So I don't know what they had going on, but it was tribal, family, codependency maybe, getting entangled in a situation. 9 times out of 10, what they didn't do with you, they do with this other person. And then they get better and then they can actually project back at you. But that is where as long as you know that's happening and you kind of just allow them to sit there and you don't diffuse the energy, they can untangle it quicker. But if you go into soothing and, you can talk. It's not saying don't communicate. It's not saying don't talk. But both parties must evolve. If they haven't, the projection is that the masculine hasn't changed, but something inside of the feminine also needs to evolve. And that's when you're going to get significant movement. So if you have had to face those shadows, more than likely you've come full circle. You'll find once you have ticked that box, if you had a major breakthrough in the last 4 months, you'll find now a flow-on effect will be happening in their life. So something major that you move through, more than likely now you feel that anchor and that pull is because you've actually passed a level like Mario Brothers. Does that make sense? It's kind of weird the way it happens, but it's very very strange to experience because empaths generally can pick up on the energy and it can almost feel like a panic attack or an urgency and you're like, I've been fine, where's this coming from? So major significant events, they've got it twice, double whammy. So home base, family, maybe changing jobs and home, they've got it 3 times. I haven't had communication in years, but yes, I've had financial breakthroughs in business finally. So majorly, did you have a karmic cycle or say a blockage in your life? It'll be something at an emotional level that, okay, you might know a blockage that you feel they had. Can you, in a mirror sense, see something that they had that you've now recently dealt with and you've kind of moved through that blockage? That's where the link's going to be. Definitely. And again, we've got the 5 of Wands every reading. This can be where the person is actually coming back, but I'm just feeling this breakthrough. Generally, you will feel it in your life first. Some major shift that maybe in your ego you felt they needed to get their shit together with. And then it kind of shows up somehow in your life and you understand, you're like, oh, is that karma? No, not really. It's just a viewpoint, but it's an experience. And then you're like, oh, God, okay, I'm free from that. I've liberated myself. I've moved ahead. And then you'll find movement. But when it goes quiet, they're very 3D. When it starts picking up, they're spiritually tuning into you. When you move forward where you would second guess, and you start going, no, Dana, I'm going to move forward, you'll feel a pullback, and that's bringing it back online. That's actually pulling that energy between the both of you back online, because you can actually get it into a dormant phase because you're just in the, you're very 3D. Does that make sense? 3D is just keeping everything stagnant. When you move through and do the inner work and have movement and, you know, you jump through these hurdles, that's where you're going to physically get it. Now, it is going to feel awkward when this frequency does come back online for you, because you will feel pulled back, panicky, and then you'll be like, no, darn, I'm not moving forward. And you're moving forward and moving forward, and it's going to feel pulling back. That is where you are psychically picking up that they're moving. Okay, that's my best advice to you. But I mean, from the movement here, like 3 times, like we got the home, we got home, we got the moon, home, and we got the moon, home. Okay, big family changes, home, emotion, confidence. Jupiter also is coming back online, so we will see more movement with masculines. But with you, hey, they could actually visit your home. That's exactly how I felt. Okay, I hope that has helped. Exciting times. Okay, anybody else before I love you and leave you? Yes, doing me. How is Yildiz? She's so cute. Is she doing better, doll? I hope she's doing better. I have no communication for years, and yes, I've had financial breaks. You're most welcome, doll. Let's read some of the comments. I'm reading them in bigger print over to the right here. Okay, DM and his ex. Yeah, but that's what I was asking you on YouTube, doll. Look at that. Lisa, what are you doing differently? I think an hour away. I have not seen him in a few months. I am not open to dating anyone. Too much baggage in me. Yeah. So, you know, what exactly is happening there? Like, the problem is, like, are they calling and saying, hey, you know, come and hang out with the karmic? Like, what are they saying? What is the gist of it? Just inside yourself, honor the fact that you love the person, but you know what you want, and say, okay, well, you're going to be over there. You are going to nurse this person. That's a choice you've made. And you need to live your best life, right? And if you start living your best life, allow them to deal with whatever they're dealing with. I don't feel there's any entanglement, but there's something in the shadow that's forcing you to look at it, because the whole reason something repeats itself is because there's something on your side of the fence that's needing healing inside it. Trust me, what we resist persists, and there's I don't think the blockage is on their side. There is something on your side that is needing to heal, to do with this karmic feminine. Yeah, no, it's not. I wouldn't say you have to accept it, but what trigger does it bring up in you that reminds you of the past? Because I think once you address that, where you don't feel replaced or ferret or any of that, where you go, oh, I'm over that. You're like, you're hanging out, you know, cool. Go back and have your cuppa. You know, once it doesn't trigger you, you've worked through it. But there's the whole reason these things come up is to force us to look at them. And, you know, it's how I've experienced the journey. It's over the years, my 10 years on YouTube with coaching clients. It's what I've noticed in theirs. You know, even though when we're going through that, and it so hurts to hear that, and we generally want to, you know, flog the reader, truthfully look back on your experiences and see what it's trying to show you, because it's not for me to be the boogeyman and to make you upset about a circumstance or feel criticized. It's evidence-based things that I've actually witnessed. So, yeah, there's no harm in testing it, if that makes sense, to look at, okay, is there something I've missed here? Is there a reason why this pattern keeps repeating? Because what we're wanting to do is break the pattern so it doesn't repeat. So yes, I have had some clients at times feel so like personalized a bit. You know, we can't, when we are too close to the fire, we can't see the height of the clouds. And so sometimes, my best advice is to be grounded before we observe it, is to know that we're not being criticized, to hear different people's perspectives, and then to tune into our own and see if it holds relevant, and then to try it, to try something different. They're just roommates. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So this could be trauma from childhood of you feeling chosen. This could have been to do with different relationships. This could be to do with betrayal and lies and not being selected. I remember through my ascension process, I was so pissed of having that happen, and I was like, then when have I chosen myself? When have I said no? That's not okay for me. In general with anything. And it was a friend that was a fellow subscriber who is a spiritual friend now. And I have a lot of you guys that are spiritual friends, and it was Jen, and she sat there one day in a reading and she's going, I really had to think about that. I was like, what are you doing? And she goes, well, I had to think about whether I did or didn't want to do something. And I thought, you know what? When have I done that? So it's about looking in and going, where do I feel disempowered? Where am I actually not angry with them, but I'm angry at myself because I keep doing it? You know? Yeah, you got chickens. Yeah, I need to repair my chicken coop first and then ask if I can get chickens again. So, yeah, it's not, and plus, don't keep repeating the story, because what you want to do is break the story. So it's not they're doing this, no, you want to change the story. Set your intentions about what you want to change. Would I want to go? I'm pretty open minded. I've had relationships where I've co-parented. Um, Sometimes the old story must go. And look, does it mean do we be angry with that person because they've decided to care for someone? Maybe their shadow is they had people abandon them and they don't feel it's ethical. Does that make sense? And sometimes we relive these karmas till we liberate ourselves. Now, can he do this in a healthy way? Yes, he can. Can he ask you to do that? Yes, he can, but you can decline. And he needs to accept that decline, because that decline is your word. Does that make sense? So it's okay for you to stand by your word and say, look, I understand this is something you're accepting, but I also understand I do not have to accept this. And I'm happy that you are choosing to do that. That's your call, but I do not have to accept that. That is my right. Yeah. Look, it'll show up on both sides. So it's about just getting into the understanding of that. Like, I know you feel bad and you don't want to let that person down, but we are always letting people down. That is the truth. Do we intentionally want to go into life letting people down? No, I don't think so. But at times, we are letting ourselves down the most by not being honest. So it isn't about the other person. It's actually about us. Where are we not showing up for ourselves? Where are we shifting the blame to another person, and just, for a rainy day, they can make up their mind. So I think at the moment there is this rebirth for the divine masculine, but there's definitely a rebirth for the divine feminine. And that is at this time. So look out for that Mars energy where it transits. That's generally where divine feminine is needing to integrate. And look for how the transits shift and the rebirth of masculine starts coming along. Because that's many of them at the moment are going to be very exhausted. Okay, so we might just need to back off a little bit, let them unpack and integrate. And going into next month, we may see some changes there, but it has been a lot in April. So we're going to need to be patient with each other in April. Flow on through. We've got the Scorpio moon still pretty intense, unhashing some shit. And then moving forward into the Zen, the heart chakra activation. I think that's what's going to happen. Okay. We will chime in soon and do some updates to do with the transits. And if you do want a booking, you can go to the link directly below. We do have the website. For those of you that don't know, I'm an intuitive astrologer, psychic medium, and clairvoyant. We do have the Sage in a Circle landing page you can go to. And yes, you can visit the website to book readings or to sign up to either. I will see you soon. Stay tuned for the new super chats coming. Otherwise, I'll see you all soon.